The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by Kolar Arms, America's competition shotgun, and is fueled by Fiocchi.
Paul?
Welcome to the Dead Pair Podcast, coming in hot with everything you want to hear about sporting clays. With your hosts, Jason Rambo.
You just didn't want my wife to edit something else you did.
And Sean Alley.
Gotta keep it PG-13, man.
Often imitated, but never duplicated. It's the Dead Pair Podcast.
The Dead Pair.
And now, it's showtime.
Welcome back, everyone. What's up there, my large mammal friend?
Jason, I'm jealous as hell, buddy. It's not nice up here. Not nice at all.
I know. Well, actually, believe it or not, it cooled off, man. The high here was like 55, and I know you're gonna say, "Oh, woe is me," but that's cold for Florida, dude.
Yeah, I'm hold on. I gotta wipe a tear. Hold on. Just wiping a tear.
But yeah, I mean, I think everybody's suffering it right now. I talked to Big-Headed Radulovich. He had went up to Ohio to see family for the holidays, and they were trying to get back home. And it's like, this storm's supposed to hit down there. He's like, why are we in a rush to get home and be trapped there? We might as well just stay here. I'm like, there you go. So,
well, interestingly enough, the storm actually missed the northern half for the most part. It hit the southern half of the state. So that I-70 line was pretty much the dividing line. You got hammered below it, and everybody above just got a little bit. We were actually up in Cleveland and didn't get anything at all. Had Steph up there for her checkup or follow-up procedure. And even at the house, I think we only got about 3 or 4 inches. But I heard down by the river, Cincinnati and all those guys got hammered pretty bad. And even further south, they had a lot of ice and stuff. So hopefully people are digging out, and looks like it's going to be cold for a little while yet. So hopefully everybody's working on getting their driveway shoveled out and salted.
Yeah, well, all this plays into effect when you're trying to get out and bust clay targets, huh? So,
yeah, which I'm not doing. I'll tell you that right now. I'll be the first to admit it. The gun is staying safe and warm in the house.
Well, hey, listen, you know what to do, Sean. Come on, Chad Roberts did that really good questions for the coaches, that video segment we did a couple years back. It's over on our YouTube channel. There's all kinds of exercises you can do in the home with your shotgun, unloaded, of course, but there's lots of things you can do to stay sharp. So I hope you're doing that, Mr. Alley. So,
yeah. And speaking of staying sharp, there is a ton of tournaments coming up here. I got a pretty big list. You want me to go ahead and get into that?
Well, let's do our tourney talk.
It's Tourney Talk. Brought to you by Score Chaser.
All right, guys, we got a bunch here. Oklahoma State Super Sporting at Snake Creek Shooting Sports. That's going to be March 29th, and the 30th is now open. Iowa State at Black Oak Clays, July 23rd through the 27th. That one is now open. Washington State at Seattle Skeet and Trap, August 13th through 17th. New York State at Vernon National Shooting Preserve. That's July 15th through the 20th. It's not up just yet, but should be open by the time you hear this or very close to it. North Carolina State at DeWitt's opened up May, and it's May 14th through the 18th. And last but not least, New Hampshire State at 20th Skeet and Clays. That one's June 7th through the 8th. Opened up this week. That's a ton of them, guys. We'll have a lot more coming as soon as Casey and the gals at Score Chaser get that info to us.
Well, Sean, we've got, if you go to our podcast through any of the directories, like let's say Apple Podcast or Spotify or anything like that, if you look down in the show description, there's that little link there that says fan mail, and you can write us an email. The problem is we don't have any way of responding to that. It doesn't give us your email address or anything like that. There's no way of responding to it. So what I'd like to do, we've got a couple of them here. I'm going to read one this week. We'll read again another one next week, Sean. But this gentleman, Braden, sent us some messages, said, I'm a huge fan of the show from Ontario, Canada. My girlfriend and I decided to pull the plug and started booking a trip for Nationals 2025. Looky there. By the time we made sure we could go, half of the events were full up. So we are going to have more time on our hands than we expected. Since we have never been there, what are the things that everybody recommends doing and seeing while there? We want to make a list of everything we want to do, but don't know where to go and start. Any input is greatly appreciated. So first of all, make sure you get on a waiting list. If there's something you want to shoot that's full, you can get on a waiting list through Score Chaser. Highly recommend that. And we'll talk a lot more about this as we get closer to Nationals. We'll do a Nationals preview with either Neil or Michael Hampton. But there is lots of things to do. If it's Friday or Saturday night, you've got the Top Gun shootout. You've got the North versus South. That's really cool to watch. They've got really good dinners and stuff there at the facility. If you have a day off, I highly recommend spending some time on Vendors Row because you could spend all day, Sean, just walking up and down that thing.
Oh, yeah. Lots to see and toys to play with.
Oh, absolutely. I think you're going to be if you've never been to Nationals, you'll be overwhelmed the first time going there. There is lots and lots to do. And then also outside of Nationals, if you're going with the wife, especially if you got a kid with you or something, I highly recommend the Riverwalk down in San Antonio. The nightlife there is amazing. The restaurants, the bars, all that stuff that's down there. It's really, really cool. It's really well lit up. There's a ton of things to do in San Antonio. You won't be hard pressed to find something to do. Let's put it that way. But no, I would definitely spend as much time as you can on the grounds. Just heed our warnings. And again, we'll have a preview show going up to it, going up to the Nationals. But be careful with ammo and guns and stuff like that in a rental car. Make sure everything's locked up either in the hotel room or at the facility. But we'll dive into that a little deeper as we get close. But no worries, Braden. I think you're jumping into the biggest shoot in the world, the national championship, and it's going to be a lot of fun for you. I think you'll enjoy it. But be looking for that preview show a little bit later in the year.
Yeah, and one more thing, if I can interject, also don't hesitate on trying to book either a hotel or a VRBO because those do get filled up fast around town. So make sure you're looking for that now versus later.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Listen, we've got a lot to get to, and we've got Gebben Miles, Karen Miles, and Joe Fanizzi going to come on and talk about their Sporting Clays Academy that they have. But before we do, real quick, we've already had some people writing to us asking where can they buy a raffle ticket for the Kolar shotgun that we're giving away. Bear with us. We're working on it. We're ironing out a few last minute details. As you can imagine, raffling a shotgun is not really friendly with most of the raffle sites. And I think we've got something that's going to make everybody happy. But hopefully, Sean, I would say probably by the next show, we should be able to announce something on that, right?
Yeah, I should have some answers hopefully moving forward. Just bear with us a little bit longer. We'll have some pics up soon. Sean Mainland's working with us to get some photographs and some artwork up so you guys can see what the gun looks like. Beautiful gun. So just be patient, bear with us. Hopefully here in the next week or so, we'll have some more answers for you.
All right. And one last thing before we get to Gebben, Karen, and Joe. Thank you very much. Kolar Arms, America's competition shotgun.
Yeah, and a big thank you for Fiocchi USA for coming back again this year because the Dead Pair podcast is fueled by Fiocchi.
That's right. And let's not forget about Atlas Traps, America's finest clay target equipment, Sean Alley.
That's right. And RE Ranger Performance Eyewear, those guys have been with us since the very start. See it clearer, see it faster, see it farther with Ranger shooting eyewear.
Yeah, something coming from them next week, by the way, Sean.
That's right.
And Rhino Chokes, unparalleled performance. You won't know until you've tried them. If you haven't tried them, you're doing yourself a big discredit. Check out Rhino Chokes.
Yep, and a new sponsor this year, Long Range LLC, the industry standard for wireless trap release and target management. Welcome Neil Chadwick and his company on board.
Absolutely. And Taconic Distillery. After the tournament, it's time for one more shot with Taconic Distillery. Sean, you got your Taconic over there? You sipping on that tonight?
I do. I got a little, hold on, listen. Can you hear the ice in the glass? I got a little bit in there.
That's awesome.
Yep, and then once again, Casey Chase and everybody at Score Chasers coming back to us. They make the shooting tournament thing very easy. Your tournament's simplified.
Absolutely. And then Clay Range Design Works, brought to you by yours truly, your one-stop shop for all clay target equipment, whether it's an Atlas trap, a Vernier clay bot, or you need a modular tower, course design and layout, target setting, give me a call. I am your one-stop shop, so I don't care if you're a club or an individual. Give me a call. I'll be more than happy to help. And one more thing, Sean Alley, before we get to Gebben, Karen, and Joe, is the National Sporting Clays Association will be back with us this year. They are going to be doing their segment once a month. We actually just got Mr. Michael Hampton on the schedule. We'll have something here before the last show of the month with him. Kind of exciting. He's got some new stuff he wants to talk about. So,
oh yeah.
Sean, we've ran long on this intro, man. We got to get going to in fact, Gebben just texted me. We better go right now.
Well, hurry up and go fast.
The Dead Pair.
All right, we have got what I'm calling the tri-power on the phone with us here. We have with us Gebben and Gebben Miles and Mr. Joe Fanizzi. How's everybody doing tonight?
We are doing great.
Amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Well, Karen, I'll tell you what, before we dive too deep into this, tell everyone what the Sporting Clays Academy is and how you guys got started with this.
Yeah, Sporting Clays Academy was an idea that Gebben had quite a few years ago, as far as for an instructional base and for people who can't necessarily take a one-on-one lesson all the time. It was a way just to get a lot of instruction out there. So he started with simply, well, from what I remember, is when we were shooting together in 2020. And we were film each other shooting, and Gebben was teaching me, so it was balance, it was angles of, moves and all that kind of stuff. And he would film us or film me, I'd film him. And then from there, he started putting videos together and recording, and literally just with his phone, started with his phone, making, not as good of quality videos as we have now, but we all have to start somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of how it started. It was just on the phone. It was when we were training together because of COVID, we were shooting, and so pulled the phone out, started making some small videos, and then progressively started kind of diving into a little bit more strategic planning on what we wanted to teach. When I started coaching a lot more, I started coaching on the Sporting Clays Academy with Gebben and being more strategic with what we want to teach, and then better video quality, different editing, using a couple different video guys that are really good at what they do. And so we've just kind of been learning how to make each video better. But yeah, that's kind of how it started, was just on our phone, Gebben and I recording each other. And it was honestly mainly for my benefit. Gebben's like, hey, this is what you're doing. And he'd show me on the video, and then I'd make a correction, and then he'd show me doing it the correct way, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that actually makes sense, because I couldn't feel myself doing something, or I didn't understand it, didn't comprehend it until I saw it, right, on the video. And so that's kind of where, at least from my perspective, that idea, we were brainstorming it just naturally. And then we had that idea, and Gebben took it and he ran with it.
Gotcha. Well, Gebben, let me ask you a question then. So obviously, you came to the conclusion that you brought Joe in, but I'm assuming, are you going to have other guests that are going to join the Sporting Clays Academy down the road, you feel?
That is the plan. Yeah, I actually wanted to do other guests a long time ago, and the timing just hadn't worked itself out yet. And it was just perfect timing with Joe. And we've talked to some other guys about it already. And yeah, so hopefully we'll have some other guests. And, part of the Sporting Clays Academy. So what we do right now is we release a new instructional video every week. And we'll go through certain series sometimes. Some of the videos will just be one-off. But if someone subscribes to Sporting Clays Academy, they get access to both my first 2 DVDs that I did, The Quiet Dust Shooting back in 2012 and Gebben Miles, The Basics in 2017, plus the other 200 and some videos that we've done over the last 4 years. And so, yeah, now moving forward, we're going to have 22 episodes with Joe, maybe 22 seasons. That'd be awesome. But 22 episodes coming up. And the first one just dropped last week. And so we're super excited. I mean, the content that we developed with Joe was just so much fun. The three of us worked together incredibly well. Joe and I have very similar senses of humor, and
Very similar.
and it was so much fun to grow in our friendship too.
Well, first of all, 200 videos. That's incredible. But Gebben, talk about that. I mean, Joe's accomplishments obviously speak for themselves. I mean, he's a national champion. He's an amazing shooter. the timing though, you talked about that. What was your decision? Why is now the right time to bring him on? I mean, the poor guy is right in the middle of college. So, but no, but talk about that timing thing you were talking about. What makes this the best time to do this?
Well, the way that I see it is that Joe is just, I mean, he's extremely accomplished, like you said, youngest national champion, but he is about to graduate college, and he's probably going to go into some work outside of the shooting industry, but to maybe capitalize a little bit more on his accomplishments, put some content out there where he is giving value to other shooters by, teaching us what he's learned, what he knows, and it's a way to make some income without having to stand behind somebody's shoulder, like Karen and I do week in and week out. And Joe, he is a coach, at the amount that he is able to coach. He does coach, but this gives him a platform, I think, to be able to share some information that, I mean, all the stuff that he teaches is really timeless. Like everything that he does from a foundational standpoint is what he's always going to do for the rest of his shooting career. And it's really, perfecting the basics is what's allowed him to be a national champion and world champion. And, he's got other goals too that he hasn't accomplished yet. And he's just kind of the perfect fit for Sporting Clays Academy at this moment.
Well, Joe, I'm sure when you were approached by Gebben with this, you were obviously pretty excited, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was extremely excited. I was honored and, just felt blessed that they reached out and extended the opportunity, and was, looking forward to making it happen. And when it finally all, came together to fruition, I know Karen, Gebben, and I were excited, and just really most excited for the subscribers, who will be able to watch the content that we're able to produce, that will, go out over months at a time. And the main thing is I just thought it was a really good idea and it made sense. And I felt very fortunate that they brought me in just because it gives the subscribers, a fresh perspective. I think that's what it's really about. And that's why I think Gebben and Karen will continue to bring on more instructors and different shooters from different backgrounds, because there's a lot of different ways, to go about this game of clay shooting. And, everybody's going to be a little bit, a little different with their styles and their approach and their technique. And, in a lot of ways, Gebben and Karen and I actually shoot quite similar, which is pretty awesome. We were able to bounce a lot of ideas off of each other and talk about things. But in some ways, we're also different, which I think is also great. And it's, entertaining to see different perspectives and see how we might, approach different targets, different ways. And that's why I thought it made sense. You guys were talking about the timing of it all happening. And, when there's an opportunity like this, you just really want to capitalize on it, because it's good for our sport. It's good for the game that our direction is headed. And it, just gives, the shooters at home who are, subscribing and watching, a great opportunity to kind of sharpen their skill set from a different angle. So that's why, we're just really thrilled, and we're excited to be on the podcast tonight, and looking forward to, more great successes for Sporting Clays Academy in the future.
Heck yeah. Well, Joe, let me ask you this, and Gebben, you can chime in too. Did you guys kind of go at this from a list form of saying, okay, we want to talk about this and this and this and this, or was it a little bit more organic and you kind of just went out there, did some stuff and kind of let whatever happen? And I guess to that point, what I'm trying to do is I want to try to tell some of our listeners what kind of things they're going to be able to learn from your videos, going forward.
Do you want me to talk about it, Gebben?
Yeah, you can start.
Yeah. So, of course, anytime you go into something like this, you want to be, prepared. And we had a great plan going into it, and we did have a list. But the main thing was we just wanted to cater to the shooter. We wanted to, reach our target audience. And Gebben had a great platform laid out to where, people were able to reach out and, kind of ask questions and present us with things that were on their mind. through social media. His sister Michelle helped with a lot of that, and people were able to send in questions, things they wanted to see, and we had a checklist of all those topics, and we made sure that we touched on all of those. And there was a lot of times we were working on things that we had planned out days in advance, and then once we got onto that topic, something else just kind of popped in our mind, real fresh, and it just kind of organically flowed. And then we would make a separate episode with that. So it worked really well. I was very excited. There's just a lot of variety in the things that we did. We filmed quite a bit. We filmed during the day, on the course, and then at Karen's farm. And it was really cool just to kind of change the target presentations and the backgrounds. And then my personal favorite, 2 nights in a row, we went out and did some night shooting, and that was super incredible. Gebben's dad, Tim, had a really nice layout for us with flash targets. And, my favorite thing about, these videos and how they go about is the way they're laid out. I think it's very good for the viewer. And what's so great about it is, we can sit there and explain something on camera, but then we also had the shot cam. So you were actually able to see our point of view, from our perspective in our shoes, what we're seeing at the same time while we're able to, explain it. So those will get released out on social media later. You'll be able to go back and see all of those, but it's just really neat. And I was excited. I'm just really looking forward to them, releasing. I kind of feel like a kid waiting around for Christmas, because there's a lot of good stuff.
That's really cool. Karen, let me ask you something. So Gebben's had videos released as early as 2012, and then again, the foundation is 2017. And between the two of you, you guys have produced over 200 videos, like you said. So with Joe coming in, and I'm not asking you to give away the bank here, but with Joe coming in, what was the major difference in what Joe was bringing as compared to what you guys have already produced in the past? In other words, if you have subscribers now, what can they look forward to seeing with Joe that you guys haven't already shown them?
That's a great question. So we have, with 200 videos already on the subscription, we cover a lot of information. There's pretty much exactly how we shoot. It's all there on the website. If you want to know something, you can pretty much find it on that website. But really the big thing that Joe brought was, like Joe just said, that slightly different perspective. We do shoot similarly, but there's also a few different things and approaches that we have that are different. And main thing with this subscription is we want to help the shooter be better. There's not one perfect way to shoot a target. And so we wanted that different perspective, that slightly different approach on maybe how Joe plans or what goes through his mind when he's coming up with his when he's coming up with his plan. And so I think it was just really good timing for that. But like I said, we already have a lot of information out there, but I think the dialogue is going to be a huge takeaway for our listeners and our subscribers, is because the dialogue that we have, the questions that we have, it's very organic. It's not scripted. We have a topic, like Joe was saying, we'd have a topic that we wanted to cover, but in that moment, we were also learning too, and so the dialogue is really fresh. It's not scripted, and we learned a lot from it. And I believe that the subscribers will learn a lot as well.
Yeah. And just to kind of add on to both what Joe and Karen were just saying is, I really enjoy doing things organically, but I also have found that you have a lot of success when you have a game plan, and it's really cool that we could be flexible enough within the game plan to say, hey, let's talk about this concept because this is going to be really, really good, and it kind of dovetails off of what we had planned anyway. And so we weren't so stringent on our list, and it was awesome. And we actually have, my dad is going to be part of some of the content as well. We did a couple interviews with my dad. One was on target setting, which was super cool. He kind of
awesome.
Yeah, we filmed him setting a station and went out to the machines with him. He showed us what he visualizes while he sets targets and this and that, and it's going to be a really, really fun episode, and so I'm looking forward to that. And then one other thing about all of this content is that we're kind of finalizing talks with a sponsor. So Ben McAnally owns Cedar Gap Wealth Management, and they sponsor the PRCA and some other things within the rodeo community. They were actually big sponsors of the NFR. They have a couple of cowboys that they sponsor. They're actually going to come alongside and sponsor some of our content, and which means that they want it to be released publicly as well. So we're going to have at least a series of Joe's content released publicly. And gosh, we filmed, I think, 5 series, right? And
Wow.
so maybe a little more, actually.
I think it's 22 episodes.
Yeah, so we do have room for other sponsorship and whatnot if any sponsors want to come alongside. But yeah, we're still kind of working out some of those details. But yeah, Cedar Gap Wealth Management, they're going to hopefully make some of this content available for free for the public. So
Very cool.
Well, guys, I tell you what, Jason and I have been in the sport for a while. I know you guys have been as well. We've seen a lot of technology change, especially like over COVID. I mean, everybody's using videos off their phones and their iPads and what have you. So you guys are making videos. Do you see like the technology is starting to play a bigger part in actually being able to coach people? Because again, one of the big challenges that we always get asked is like, oh, we want to take a lesson with so-and-so, but we don't live in this state, or we'd have to travel to this state. So, I mean, do you guys see this as making it an easier avenue for people to get a hold of the coaches that they want to learn from and be able to make it a little bit easier and a little bit more affordable for shooters to get better?
Absolutely. I mean, all the top guys have a very good hourly rate because they're professionals at it, and it's hard to improve extremely fast if you don't have all the means for it, right? This is an expensive sport, and to be able to take lessons consistently, that does add up. And I think that the Sporting Clays Academy is $30 a month. If you think of it, it's $1 a day. That means just don't go to Starbucks. And and that helps save money if you really are passionate about learning and becoming better. And the success stories that we have for some people who haven't been able to take an in-person lesson from us, but have studied the videos weekly, maybe even watch it once or twice and send us emails telling us what they learned, also maybe having a question or two from a certain video. And then when we do finally meet up with them for a one-on-one lesson where we're behind their shoulder, language already kind of makes sense. They understand the sport more, especially if they're new. They understand the sport a little bit more. And so I do believe that for someone who might be up in the north where it's snowing and they can't shoot, and they can watch a video of targets being broken, seeing targets, seeing and feeling the moves of watching us shoot over our shoulder or watching the shot cam, I believe just keeps the mind sharper and able to learn more.
Yeah, 100%. And we've had people that have emailed us saying they've never taken in-person lessons. They've just studied our content. There's one guy in Texas off the top of my head named Leaf, and he reached out to us before he did in-person lessons, and he's like, hey, I've been studying your videos. I've made it to master class. And he had just this crazy quick, I think he went from like D or C to master in just a few months.
Wow.
And he was just like raving about how much he learned from us. And this was a couple years ago too. And so then he ends up taking an in-person lesson from both of us. And then we got squatted together to shoot last year. And it's just remarkable, like the level that he's been able to attain in just a couple of years of shooting. And it's pretty awesome. And we've had a few other people like that who've never done in-person lessons with us, but are subscribers. And I mean, I would say the majority of subscribers right now are that type of shooter. And we do have some people that are really, really connected with us. Like every time we release a video, they'll send us an email or text message or something, either saying how much they enjoyed the video or critiquing it a little bit or sharing with us their notes or something like that. And so we do have a lot of subscriber engagement, which is kind of cool too. And it's also opened up, Karen and I have started doing some remote coaching via phone calls. And and or FaceTime and things like that, which is kind of neat. But we're just kind of building that slowly, and so there's all types of opportunities in the future that I see that with the technology you're talking about will keep expanding people's ability to gain information and get better without being in person coached.
Well, and that's where that's where I was leading to, because I think that, that was my next question was, can you remotely coach somebody like with a camera behind them or something and watching them shoot certain targets? But it sounds like you guys are already kind of working on that already.
I've actually, so when I was in Australia, I did that quite a bit. People would set up their phone right behind their shoulder on a tripod or have one of their friends, hold the phone or an iPad, and I would just coach via FaceTime or Zoom or whatever it was back then. And so I've done that a lot. I don't have a ton of time to do that, and I do. I think I enjoy in-person coaching more, but that definitely is an option as well.
That's I think cool. Like your question is like, is that possible in the future? And I do believe yes.
For sure.
I think a lot of it is learning, right? Gebben and I have learned a lot as we've developed Sporting Clays Academy, and then we know that there's still room for improvement of Sporting Clays Academy, such as bringing in Joe. That was an idea to make Sporting Clays Academy better. But we've also had, started with better ideas on how we edit the film. Are there trackers on the video tracking the target, doing it in the light, doing it in the dark, and seeing, how can we give the viewer the best opportunity to see the target and understand what we're teaching? And I think that is going to continue into the potential of being able to set a phone up even better behind someone's shoulder and actually coach and talk to that student at the same time, but remotely through the phone or something.
Well, you mentioned time, Gebben, and you don't have a lot of time. And that brings Joe into the conversation. Joe, you've got your new website. You're about to finish college. I'm sure you're probably headed off to a real job. But with all that being said, you probably still would love to coach more than you're capable of now, right?
Well, anything involved with Sporting Clays, I want to be, waist deep in it as much as I can. There is a lot going on. In my family, we say there's a lot of irons in the fire, and there's only 24 hours in a day, but you just have to really prioritize and pick and choose. And there's a lot of times I want to do a lot of different things, but Sporting Clays and just this lifestyle of clay target shooting is very important to me. It's imperative, and it's something that I've embraced, and I'm willing to make a lot of sacrifices to be able to continue to pursue it. I love being a competitor. I love traveling to the tournaments and shooting in the competitions. And I also love instructing, and there's time for it. I'm in college right now. I'm busy, have a lot of side ventures, spending time with family, trips, work, of course, is around the corner for me in about a year and a half or so. I'm going to, work in the construction industry because I'm getting a construction degree from Texas A&M. So there's a lot going on. But that's the thing, we all have a lot going on in life. And I firmly believe that if you love something enough, you're going to be able to find a way to make it happen. You just have to be willing to be committed to, making arrangements and doing whatever it takes. So I like to tell people, don't worry, just because I'm graduating college and starting work here in a couple of years doesn't mean that I'm going to go away. When I graduated high school and was going to college, everybody's like, oh, well, Fanizzi's going to college. That might be the last we see from him in a while. And I actually heard that quite a bit. And I was like, no, you'll be surprised. Like, I make a lot of, arrangements in my life to be able to do this stuff that I love. And Sporting Clays is right at the top of the list, along with a lot of other things. So, it's just all great. It's all great. Yeah.
Well, take it from somebody that spent 35 years in construction business. Your time is going to be a lot harder to manage than you think when it comes to shooting.
We'll see.
The saying, make hay while the sun still shines. And I'm telling you, man, the hours and the travel it got the best of me there for the longest time. So if you can continue to do what you're doing and still have time for it, good on you. But it's going to be a time management thing for sure. But no, speaking of your new website, Joe, real quick, I know you've done other podcasts on it, but you want to tell everybody about that real quick?
Yeah, it's it's something that is very similar to a lot of other platforms that are out there in the industry of clay target shooting, and it's just a way to kind of evolve with the times. There's just so much coming up in the world, whether it be artificial intelligence or just things coming forth with applied science and opportunities that come with technology. And you know sometimes people are stuck in their old ways and comfortable with that, but I think we're at a point in time where it's good to kind of evolve with things because it allows for growth. And I had a great friend of mine in college approach me, and he had a great idea, but he kind of needed some guidance and help on how to kind of go in the right direction with it. So myself and a couple other friends worked with him, and we put together a great platform. It's called the American Shotgunner, and it's a data tracking website that allows people to, kind of see their performance over time in big shoots. So it's really cool because you can kind of see your progress. You can gauge yourself. You can see, how you've done in previous shoots compared to where you're at now, and compare yourself against other people that you compete with. And it's all the same idea that goes back to Sporting Clays Academy or any other platform that other shooters or people in our industry have come out and presented to the public, just like this podcast as well. And that's the big picture is back to Sporting Clays Academy. What ultimately what I think this does such a great job of is it really helps the person who's immersed in the clay target shooting community and immersed in this lifestyle of shooting clays, whether it's a hobby or a career. It allows them to kind of stay in the loop and stay in the game even when they can't get out to the course. There's a lot of people that would love to go shoot, but what makes shooting so unique and different from a lot of the other sports that are out there is, like let's say you like playing basketball or you like playing baseball. You can have a baseball and a glove and just go in your backyard and toss the ball around basically anywhere you live. You can put up a basketball hoop almost anywhere and get shots up. You can toss a football around in the backyard. But clay target shooting, if you live in a neighborhood and there's a lot of people that love to shoot, in the city, things like that, sometimes it's hard to get out and go shooting as much as we want. It's hard to get out to the course and actually, fire a gun at a clay target.
Yeah.
Some of us have the luxury of being, really close and having a great opportunity to do that all the time. And that's awesome. But there's also a big group of people that love this game just as much as we do and are just as passionate that don't have that luxury. So that's why, Sporting Clays Academy is so great because it allows them to kind of keep that rust off and stay engaged with the sport, even from their couch at home or, on a family vacation somewhere, when they wish they could be clay target shooting. And that's kind of, it all points back to the passion and the purpose and having, being very intentional. And that's what my friend and I wanted to do with the American Shotgunner. And it's a phenomenal website. We're very excited for the things in the future. And, we're hoping we can get as many people to, make accounts and just see who you really are as a clay target because it gives you a great way to really see, black and white where you're at with your progress and where you can go to, continue goal setting and getting better. It's all about getting better.
Yeah, I went on there, man. I can't believe. I mean, that website's phenomenal. I can't
It's
believe.
really cool.
I mean, how you can break down stats on yourself. It's incredible. Gebben, were you about to say something?
Well, they just kind of. I thought of a question for Joe as he's saying all of this. Joe, I mean, if that's all right, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I can ask a question. So Joe, with the content coming out in Sporting Clays Academy, what are some of the concepts that you're most excited that are coming out that you think are going to help shooters?
Absolutely. I think we have a lot of good stuff that came out, in all the different types of episodes we did. A lot of people, the main part of their focus, I would say well over half of their focus and, the meat and potatoes of everything they allocate their efforts towards is when they're literally standing in the box and call for the bird and what I call live time. Like once the bird is in the air and it's been thrown, and they're just thinking about like, okay, what kind of, move do I need to make? And what do I need to be seeing when I pull the trigger? And, as in that split second. And, that's very important. And I'm not going to absolutely lay everything out in intricate detail, even though I really want to, just because, for time's sake. And also we love everybody to kind of watch the great things that we put forth on these videos that are going to be released soon. But both Gebben and Karen and also myself, we're big on, having a great mindset as you come into the station and having a great plan. And I think that's something that really gets looked over. And we talked a lot about, what I consider the first phase of clay target shooting, which is the approach. And there's a lot of things that go on, and there's a lot of things that you have to do when it comes to crossing your T's and dotting your I's before you step into the box or before you step into the competition cage. And I think that's something that gets overlooked quite a bit. It sounds simple, but there's so much that really has to go on. You have to be paying attention. You have to be on your toes. You have to be very attentive and aware, on alert all the time on a course, just picking up on things to not handicap yourself. Because if you just have no plan and you step in the box and load 2 shells in the gun and call pull and just kind of start instinctively just pointing the gun like you're out there dove hunting in the brush somewhere, like, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage. And that's the beauty of clay target shooting is, there's a great chance to help yourself break more targets by having a strong setup and knowing how to do that. And it starts at home. It's not something you can just apply the day of the tournament. You have to work on it. And that's what's cool about these videos being released once a week is you can watch these videos from home and then go out and work on it and then go back and rewatch it again and then work on something. And then by the time you kind of have a chance to put that into work and get it in your, assembly line of improvement, then boom, another video gets released and you have something else you can work on. So it's been laid out. This program with Sporting Clays Academy has been laid out exceptionally well with a lot of thought. And it's not just by chance. Gebben and Karen have been very committed to putting out the best product they can, strictly with the best intention for the shooter, because that's what we care about. We want the subscribers, the viewers to have the best chance to improve and get better. And that's the whole point of subscribing to a platform like this. And that's why I'm excited about it. I'm excited for, the shooters at home.
Karen, we've got everybody convinced now that they need to get over to the Sporting Clays Academy and check this out. Just like the last episode, I'll make sure and include links down in the show description, but tell everybody where they can find you guys.
You can find Sporting Clays Academy at sportingclays.academy. Go to that website. The subscription process is pretty easy. It's right there on that homepage, and from there you'll make a login. Once you make your login, you have access to the most recent videos and those videos that we've posted 4 years ago even. And then you can find us for our in-person lessons on both of our social medias. Also, you can reach us through our emails, Gebben Miles at Gmail, Karen K. Shed, which I, again, have not changed yet, Karen K. Shed at Gmail. But reach out to us those ways. And if you do become a subscriber, we encourage you to communicate and tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. This is about you. It's about the shooter, helping you become the best shooter that you can be and enjoy the sport that we love so much.
2 more quick questions for you guys. We have the Florida Swing right around the corner. I'm sure we're going to see all 3 of you at some of, or at least 1 or 2 of those big shoots, right? Is everybody planning on coming for Jack Links and RC Cup and Caribbean and all that, or are you going to just hit a couple of them, or what are you thinking?
So on our end, we're going to shoot Fajara. That's going to be our first shoot of the year.
Okay.
And that's the week right before Jack Links. And then we'll fly right from Dubai straight to Florida and shoot the Jack Links. And then we unfortunately have to go home right after the Jack Links. We are almost completely booked with lessons the end of February. We have a few openings left, but we just, it's not worth it for us to stay in Florida for multiple weeks this year. Unfortunately, we have done it in the past. We've done 3 shoots in the past there over the Florida Swing, but we've just got so busy in Arizona that we can only manage 1.
Well, I think you answered my second question. Since you were coming, I was going to ask if you had any time available for lessons, but it sounds to me like you're booked out back at home. So what about you, Joe? Are you gonna be able to skip a few classes and come join us over here in Florida?
Yeah, there's, a lot going on, and I just always love the opportunity to go back home to where I was raised and grew up and started my clay target shooting career. So anytime that my schedule permits and I have the opportunity to do that, I will certainly take advantage of that. And it's just really cool because I get to go back and see a lot of familiar faces, and it just kind of unlocks a lot of great memories that are deep in my Rolodex from growing up down here in Florida, shooting throughout many years of my young career at multiple different clubs here on the East Coast, whether it be Quail Creek, South Florida, Vero Beach, even OK Corral, and over on the West Coast as well. So that's always cool, and it's just exciting when we have this off season for about 2 or 3 months to kind of, work on some things, take a little break, have a nice reset, and then kind of spring into a new season because there's a lot to look forward to. And, I'm still very young. I'm only 21, so I'm very green when it comes to experience compared to a lot of the top pros in the country who've been doing this at this pace for 2 or sometimes even 3 decades plus. But each year I feel like I learn a lot more and I feel a lot more experience, and I have a better idea of what to expect and how to plan. And it's really cool because there's a lot of great tournaments, and I feel like our excitement is always at a sky high going into the first couple shoots of the year. But it's just a blessing. Anytime you get the chance to be out on the course and compete in this game that we love, it's a blessing from God. So I just really look forward to every single shoot in 2025.
Sincerely, we appreciate the three of you. Thanks for coming on and telling everybody about this. I think this is awesome. I mean, obviously they have your contact now. They can reach out to you if they have questions about it. Hopefully they'll subscribe. Sounds like there's a lot of great information there. Looking forward to seeing some stuff with Joe. Everybody that's been instructing and has videos out there, Joe's the one that's been like the silent assassin in the background there. We haven't got to pick his brain any. So this is exciting. Look forward to it.
Well, just to end on that note, Will Primos is one of our subscribers that he contacts us almost every single week. And Joe and I have a cool story of how we met. Joe and Will have a cool story about how they met, and that's kind of almost word for word what Will said in a text recently. He got back in town and was watching the first episode, and he's just like, man, I love it so much that you guys brought Joe in, and I can't wait for the rest of his content. So we're excited.
We cover so much. There's so many different topics.
Yeah,
fundamental.
But we had fun along the way. We had fun along the way. It wasn't like a chore. Like, we have to work so hard to get these videos, made. It was like we could have kept going for days and days. I mean, we scraped the surface. I mean, we got to a lot of really good stuff, but we would wake up in the morning and get going on making the videos and go for hours at a time, take a small break, and the next thing you know, it was dark. And then we go out for night shooting, and we would make just as many videos at night as we did during the day. It was just super fun. Every single opportunity that we had, we were laughing and making great memories, and just had good opportunities to spend some time, with Tim. And, he shared a lot of great stuff with us, and you just have a lot of great clay shooting minds kind of all clashing while we filmed for these next upcoming episodes on Sporting Clays Academy. And that's what, back to what I was saying, I'm most excited for the shooters, the people who subscribed, the viewers from home, because they'll get an opportunity to see something that's never been done before, which is a collaboration between the three of us. And I'm unique in my shooting style, but I think I can really help bring some new things to the table that can help improve people's game. And it's now going to be, exposed out there and to people's use. So that's what I'm most excited about. I really appreciate Gebben and Karen thinking of me and giving me the opportunity to come along and be a part of it and share what I know. And we also appreciate you guys having us on this podcast tonight. It really means a lot.
Yeah, we really appreciate that you guys have us on, and hopefully, Joe, we can figure out when we can get together again and keep going on a bunch of these ideas, which
for sure.
Hopefully might be. We were talking about potentially at my dad's new range in Tennessee would provide some cool backgrounds. He's got some shots way below his feet, some shots way up above, and there's some really cool terrain that we don't have here in Arizona.
So long story short, there's still great things coming.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Joe said he just scratched the surface. I was going to tell Joe that's what us veterans in the workforce call job security. So you got to save some of it, Joe. And speaking of that new club, Gebben, I want to get your dad on here to talk about this. I've heard a lot of great things about this new club in Tennessee. Love to have him on and talk about this. So a little teaser for everybody. Hopefully we can razz up Tim and get him back on the podcast and talk about that. We'd love to have him on.
For Absolutely. Sure. Yeah, he would love that as well.
Guys, thank you so much. We really, truly appreciate it. And like I told everybody, the links will be right down in the show description. Get on it, man. They've got some good content here. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks guys.
The Dead Pair.
Well, Jason, I tell you what, it's always great hearing from Gebben and Karen, and with Joe to boot, that is a big bonus, man. They have some really cool stuff working in their program there.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, Joe's kind of dipping his toes into the whole coaching thing a little bit. You know, that's quite a bit of star power right there. I mean, you're talking ladies national champion, Gebben Miles is a national champion, Joe's a national champion. I mean, you got some star power there if you want to take a lesson with them. I think they'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, couldn't go wrong with any one of those three, and I'm sure that they'd be happy to help you out if you want to reach out to them and possibly sign up for their program.
And reaching out to them is easy. Go right down here in this show description, and there'll be a link there to their Sporting Clays Academy. Click on it, get a hold of them, and let them know you heard about them from here, and they'd be happy to help.
Absolutely. Well, Jason, it all plays into our whole mission motto of this podcast, man.
Absolutely.
You got to get people into this sport. So take someone new clay shooting and take them to a sporting tournament. You know, get them out there, like we say, week after week. Get a gun in their hand. Let the stuff happen, and it will sell itself.
Look at you being all innovative, tweaking your little message there a little bit. I see what you're doing.
It's a new year, man. I gotta go different directions. So I'm gonna play in the space and kind of use my creativity to. No, I'm just kidding.
Your little mental imprints. So
that's right, and they are little. They are little.
I don't know, dude. I'm sitting here looking at you on the screen. That's a pretty big head. So
yeah, big melon, small walnut.
Well, listen, don't be lazy, everyone. Don't let this weather that Sean was talking about stop you. If you can't get out and shoot, do your interior exercises. Boy, there's a new term for sporting clays. But no, do your inside exercises with the shotgun. You know, like I said, get over to our YouTube channel, look it up. Chad Roberts has got some excellent things you can do at home in the living room with your shotgun and keep you fresh. And I think everybody should do that. I know I used to do it, Sean, all the time in the winter up there. And I really think it helped, you know, just mounting the shotgun helps, you know, anything to get your mind off the bitter, miserable cold. And hey, everybody, if you are from the north, like I am still, I mean, with Jason being down in Florida, feel free to call or text him. I'm sure he'll be happy to send you some pictures of, you know, bluebird skies and sunny weather and palm trees. So, and if you can't get a hold of me, I just sent Sean a fresh batch of palm trees pictures today, so he could share them with you.
I'm going to get them weekly, I'm pretty sure, through this whole damn winter.
Right. Sean Alley, what do we tell everybody every week, bud?
I tell you what, everybody, we are so happy you're back with us for 2025 and can't wait to see you on the next episode of the Dead Pair Podcast.
We'll see you next time on the Dead Pair Podcast.
The Dead Pair. The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by Kolar Arms, the mark of performance, and is fueled by Fiocchi USA. Special thanks to the following sponsors: Atlas Traps, Ranger Performance Eyewear, Rhino Chokes, Long Range LLC, Taconic Distillery, Score Chaser, and Clay Range Design Works.